Rain hammered against the windows of a small, dimly lit apartment as Alina Carver sat on the edge of her bed, clutching her sister's phone in trembling hands. It was a call she hadn't expected, one that would change her life forever. Her sister, Maris, had been crying on the other end, her voice frantic. Their mother had been rushed to the hospital in another town, and Maris needed to be by her side immediately. The problem was, Maris worked as a maid for an exclusive luxury estate, and missing a single shift could mean losing her job. Alina had just been let go from the diner where she worked part-time. With bills piling up and their mother's health uncertain, she couldn't bear the thought of Maris risking her only stable income. Without hesitation, Alina whispered into the phone, "I'll cover for you." She didn't know then that this single decision would lead her straight into the heart of a story she never could have imagined, a story of love, loss, and redemption. Before we dive deeper into Alina's journey, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Journal, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected encounters. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that touch hearts around the world. The next morning, Alina woke up before dawn, slipping into one of Maris's neatly pressed uniforms. It felt strange wearing her sister's clothes, stepping into her world. She tied her hair into a neat bun and tried to hide the nervous tremble in her hands. The bus ride to the estate felt endless, her mind racing with fears. What if someone realized she wasn't Maris? What if she made a mistake? When she finally arrived, the mansion before her took her breath away. The sprawling white building gleamed under the soft morning light, surrounded by lush gardens and tall, ornate gates. It looked like something from another world, one far removed from her cramped apartment and second-hand furniture. She took a deep breath, reminded herself that this was just for a day, and stepped through the servants' entrance. Inside, everything moved in a precise, almost military rhythm. Other staff bustled about, preparing breakfast, arranging flowers, and polishing furniture. Alina kept her head down, mimicking their movements, trying not to draw attention. She was assigned to clean the upstairs study and guest rooms. As she dusted an ornate bookshelf, she overheard whispers from two maids passing by. They spoke about Ethan Hale, the young CEO who owned the estate. He was known for his brilliance in business and his cold, guarded demeanor. Rumor had it, he rarely interacted with anyone and spent most of his time locked away in his office, consumed by work. But there was also talk of a little girl, his daughter, who had lost her mother 2 years ago. Alina's heart ached hearing this. She didn't know why, but the idea of a lonely child in a house so grand and silent felt unbearably sad. As she continued cleaning, a soft sound caught her attention, a faint sniffle, almost like a whimper. Following it, she found herself standing before a slightly ajar door. Curiosity overcame her hesitation, and she gently pushed it open. Inside was a playroom, filled with toys that seemed untouched. In the corner sat a small girl, no older than 5, hugging a stuffed bunny tightly. Tears streaked her pale cheeks. Alina's breath caught. The child looked so lost, so heartbreakingly alone. Forgetting herself, she knelt down and whispered softly, "Hey, sweetheart, are you okay?" The girl flinched at first, then looked up with wide, frightened eyes. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice barely audible. Alina smiled gently. "I'm just here to help. My name is Maris." The lie tasted strange on her tongue, but she couldn't explain the truth now. "What's your name?" The little girl hesitated, then murmured, "Clara." Clara reminded Alina of herself at that age, small, vulnerable, and yearning for comfort. Alina sat beside her, talking softly until the girl's tears subsided. By the time she left the room, Clara had even given her a shy smile. What Alina didn't realize was that someone had been watching. Later that afternoon, as Alina carried fresh linens down the hall, a tall figure appeared before her. Her heart stopped. It was him, Ethan Hale. He was more striking than she expected, his sharp features softened slightly by the weariness in his eyes. His tailored suit spoke of wealth and authority, but there was something heavy in his posture, as though he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. Their eyes met, and Alina's breath hitched. For a moment, she forgot she was supposed to be invisible, just a maid filling in for her sister. "You," Ethan said quietly, his voice deep and commanding. "You were with Clara earlier." Alina froze, terrified she'd been caught. I was just making sure she was okay, sir." She seemed upset. To her surprise, Ethan didn't scold her. Instead, he looked away, his jaw tightening. Clara doesn't open up to people easily. Not since her mother passed. His voice cracked slightly on the last word, revealing a glimpse of the pain he tried so hard to hide. Something shifted in that moment. Alina saw past the powerful CEO facade and glimpsed a grieving father, lost and struggling to connect with his daughter. Over the next few days, circumstances kept pulling them together. Each time Ethan saw Clara laughing with Maris, a hint of warmth returned to his guarded eyes. Clara began seeking Alina out, holding her hand during walks in the garden, asking her to read bedtime stories. Alina found herself drawn deeper into their lives, her initial fear slowly replaced by a profound desire to help this broken family heal. But every moment spent with them made the guilt heavier. She wasn't Maris. She was living a lie, and sooner or later, the truth would come out. One evening, as the sun dipped low and bathed the estate in golden light, Ethan approached Alina on the terrace. "I don't usually talk about this," he began, his voice rough, "but Clara has been so much happier these past few days. I don't know how you've done it, but thank you." Alina's throat tightened. She wanted to tell him everything, to confess who she really was. But before she could speak, Clara burst through the doors, giggling and holding a flower crown she had made. She placed it on Alina's head and declared, "You're my favorite." Ethan's smile, rare and unguarded, broke Alina's heart. How could she destroy this fragile happiness with the truth? The next morning, disaster struck. Maris returned unexpectedly, panicked and disheveled. She pulled Alina aside, whispering urgently that their mother was stable but they couldn't afford her treatment without Maris's job. As they argued in hushed tones, Ethan appeared. His sharp gaze darted between the two sisters, realization dawning. "Explain," he demanded. Alina's world crumbled. There was no escape now. With tears streaming down her face, she confessed everything, how she had pretended to be Maris to help her sister, how she never meant to deceive him, how much she had come to care for Clara. Ethan's expression hardened. Betrayal flashed in his eyes. "You lied to me. You lied to Clara." His voice thundered through the hall, making Clara flinch from where she stood nearby. Alina reached out desperately. "Please, Ethan. I never wanted to hurt either of you. I wanted to help." But he turned away, his walls slamming back into place. "Leave. Both of you." The words sliced through her like knives. Alina gathered her sister and fled, Clara's heartbroken sobs echoing behind them. Days passed in a haze of sorrow. Alina couldn't stop thinking about Clara's tear-streaked face, or the pain in Ethan's eyes. She told herself it was over, that she needed to move on. But when the hospital called with news that their mother's condition had worsened, desperation drove her to act. She swallowed her pride and returned to the estate, not for herself, but for her family. She begged Ethan to reconsider, to at least let Maris keep her job so they could pay for their mother's care. To her shock, Ethan listened silently, then sighed. His voice was softer this time. "Clara hasn't smiled since you left." Alina's heart ached. She realized then that he hadn't truly hated her, he was just protecting his daughter, and himself, from more hurt. In a moment of vulnerability, Ethan admitted how lost he felt after his wife's death, how guilty he was for burying himself in work instead of being there for Clara. You reminded me what love looks like," he confessed, his eyes glistening. Tears blurred Alina's vision as she stepped closer. "You reminded me too, Ethan. Family isn't about perfection, it's about never giving up on each other." In that sunlit foyer, surrounded by the quiet hum of the house, Ethan made a choice. He offered Maris her job back, and offered Alina something even greater. Not just a position in the household, but a place in their lives. Months later, the estate no longer felt cold and empty. Laughter filled its halls again. Clara ran through the gardens with Alina chasing playfully behind, while Ethan watched from the terrace, his heart full for the first time in years. Alina's decision to cover her sister's shift had started as an act of desperation, but it had led her to the family she never knew she needed. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Your engagement helps us keep telling stories of love, hope, and second chances.